Hello, everybody. Matt now here with the professional storm responders, and today we have a special treat for you. We have special guest Jax and Maddox here, and they're going to ask us some questions about the weather.
Very good. Nice to see you guys. Looking well there. Jax, where about do you live?
We live in Walton, Kentucky.
Walton, Kentucky. Very good. Well, we'll go ahead and start this off. Maddox, do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. Were you guys in the Ohio tornado?
The Memorial Day.
The Memorial Day tornado.
A few years.
It was like a few years ago.
Yes, at Memorial Day 2019. Actually, we both was part of that. I'll let Matt go first. Mine's a little bit more in depth on my end. But go ahead, Matt.
So I live in northern Ohio, and in a town called Salina. They actually got hit by an F3 tornado. And when that happened, I was actually out chasing, and it touched down just on the other side of where I was sitting at the time. So Salina is right there. And I live in Van Wert, which is right there. So we drove down to Salina and we watched that tornado develop, and then it hit the city of Salina on the west side. So I was pretty close, but it didn't quite hit me.
It looks close on here.
And
it was something like that, right, Matt?
Yep.
Okay.
And then when it got on the other side of Salina, it touched down again near St. Mary's and then Walpock. So it was on the ground for quite a long time.
Yeah. So isn't F3 like right in the middle of like all the ranges? It goes from F1 to F5. F5 being the most dangerous, and then F1 being the least dangerous.
That is correct. Yep. And F3 is smack dab in the middle. The F3 tornado is when you start having some walls come down and some heavy structural damage can start to occur at that point. Not to say that an F1 and an F2 tornado aren't dangerous within themselves, but the F3 tornado is when you start seeing your complete homes being destroyed and stuff like that. So very good question. But let's go back to Al, because he has a pretty interesting story about the Memorial Day tornadoes as well.
Well, a little bit about me. I am a retired firefighter. I was a fire lieutenant out of the house where I was at. At one point, I was a battalion chief on another fire department. So I have a little bit of background in fire and rescue, safety, and all that stuff. I'm also an amateur radio ham operator. I don't know how well radio, and I've got an assortment of radios here for Skywarn and a program called ARES, Amateur Radio Emergency Services. Now, the night of Memorial Day, me and Matt was on another storm team, and I was actually in command of the storm team that night. I'll bring up a map here real quick over the area where it hit. And this is going to be a really rough map here. I live right here in New Lebanon.
You didn't screen share yet, buddy. There we go.
Got her now?
Yeah.
All righty. Yeah. I live right here in New Lebanon, a little town right in between Dayton and Eaton out in Preble County. Here's Brookville, Ohio. This is where our tornado started. We'll zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to put a rough track of how that tornado went. Let me get my bearings here. Hold on. Grandkids just got here. That's Westbrook. Okay, right here. It came over through this way, sorry, and kind of came down and went like that. Right? No, sorry. it came across here and went down, and then went down and crossed another road, Westbrook. And I'll back out and show you all of that there. Now that blue dot that just popped up there, that's a little bit of precipitation on our radar showing up. Now, with this, right here, I'm gonna put a little dot. I don't know if can you see that dot?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. My aunt lives right there. Now, my aunt is Matt's mother-in-law. So both of us know how close she is to that tornado. Again, I'm still a few miles to the south of that tornado. It took out completely removed houses through here, completely, nothing. No wood, no bricks, no nothing left. Just a flat piece of concrete on the ground. Completely destroyed a bunch of stuff. Let me undo this. And we shut down our other team. We had everybody, I just had everybody be quiet. I tried to get a hold of Matt. I know he's up near where that F3 was, up there near Salina, and his wife, my cousin, was with him. We're trying to get a hold of my aunt. I have another aunt that is a little bit outside that area, but again, I was trying to get to them. Diamond Mill Road, right here. I was trying to get up to go to either one of them houses because cell phones was knocked out. I got over right before here. Again, the tornado went down through here, through into Trotwood, and then over into it's called Harrison Township at North Dayton. And the roads were completely impassable. There was trees laying in the roads, electric lines across roads, parts of houses laying in roadways. It literally cut our county from Brookville all the way over here into Beaver Creek. One big line, it cut us in half, and we could not get from one side of our county to the other because of debris. On I-75 through Dayton, it was so bad that they had to call, you know what, the salt truck in the wintertime, they have the big plows.
Okay.
They had to send the plows down the highway, knocking debris off the roadway. So we was both very intimately involved with the Memorial Day tornadoes. And where I'm part of the Skywarn, amateur radio Skywarn, I was also involved there. Again, I was put on a traffic detail up here blocking a roadway for several hours until our county's engineer got there. And then me and Matt's done a lot of follow-up on that storm, because the farther out you go, the more information the meteorologist gets and they share. So we've been to several of their updates on what they found out. Even though tornadoes are extremely bad, we always learn something from them to help us in the future.
I've got a question, sir. I've got a question.
Go ahead.
I've never really seen what a funnel cloud is like. What is its like appearance?
Okay, go. Is it my turn or your turn, Matt?
I can go ahead and kind of we can both answer it.
Go ahead. I'll be looking for an example.
So the easiest way to describe it is, have you ever seen a picture of a funnel cloud before?
Of a funnel cloud? No, I haven't either.
Okay, so imagine a big cloud, and it's called the mesocyclone. That is where tornadoes form. That's the parent cloud. And then when you find a mesocyclone, if you see a part of it rotating, and a 360 degree, kind of a swirling pattern, that's where you can see a funnel cloud. And then obviously from a funnel cloud, that's where a tornado forms. So when we are out, the easiest way to find a funnel cloud is you just kind of go out in an open area where there's no trees or any kind of buildings blocking your view. You go out and you look for clouds twisting. And then, the easiest, another way to explain it, you've seen probably videos and pictures of a tornado.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen a video before they touch down? Like as they're touching down to the ground?
I think I've seen like one or two. I've
Right.
never seen
Hey.
one.
So that is your funnel cloud right there. Until it touches the ground, it's your funnel cloud. So
Matt.
even
I have an example for you. This cloud structure. You can explain to them the difference between the two. This might help them understand a little bit more.
okay, so that's a picture that Al actually took not far from his house. And do you see kind of the lighter clouds, the kind of white puffy looking clouds? That is your mesocyclone right through there. And then your darker cloud right there that's kind of hanging down, that is your funnel cloud right there.
Well,
And-
this one ain't the funnel cloud. This one. This is a fake one.
Well, right. I'm saying if
Yeah, that's how it would kind of look.
right. So but that is the structure that you look for during a thunderstorm to spot tornadoes. Now, this is what's known as scud, which is low-lying clouds that aren't rotating. Oh, but that is the same appearance that a funnel cloud would have if it were rotating.
Correct. And one of the big secrets on knowing at a quick glance, you could say if this is scud or if this is a funnel cloud. A funnel cloud would look more like right here. See how this little triangle right here is smooth?
Yeah.
That's what a funnel cloud, when it's rotating, it will be smooth on the edges, where this is not even connected, although it might have that triangle-ish shape, but as long as it's ragged on the edges, it's normally a non-rotating cloud. Like Matt had said, it's a scud, which is just your precipitation, your condensation lifting up and making more cloud, your moisture.
I've got another question. So I know how you guys were talking about the mesocyclone.
Yeah.
Is the mesocyclone in the mesosphere? Mesosphere? I can't like say mesosphere.
No, everything me and Matt does is in the troposphere.
Oh.
Okay. And let me pull this, kind of help with both of them, I think, a little bit here. Pull this up here. There you go. The troposphere stops up about 50, 60,000 foot, or I think it's about 60,000 foot. That's your upper level. That's your troposphere. Anything above the troposphere is your stratosphere. So, and there is very little to do with weather in the stratosphere, depending on the height of, and this is what we refer to as an anvil. This is the structure of a supercell. You'll get this, it's called overshooting the top. The updraft is so strong, it pushes the air out the top of the anvil. And a lot of times this part right here is in the actual stratosphere, and just below it where the line is the troposphere where we work, or where all weather happens. Anything else on that one, Matt?
Nope. I think you covered it pretty well.
Next question. We're
Yeah.
game. We're ready.
Question. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, we Buffalo were in a tornado warning, like maybe 3 or 2.
Tornado warning, yes.
Yeah, tornado warnings, and the one of them I had a alarm going off, and remember I told you after we made a YouTube video, and then we just went down in the basement because we knew it was a tornado warning.
Absolutely, Matt. I'll put up the differences if you want to talk about that and explain to them that side.
Sure thing, Al. Excuse me. So a watch means that conditions are favorable for severe weather. and it can cover obviously a few portions of a state or entire state or multiple states at once. And a warning means that severe weather is imminent in your area. And the thing that people tend to not understand with the tornado warning, it does not mean that there is a tornado. It just means that there is enough rotation and the conditions are favorable at that point for the development of tornadoes. And that's why they put a tornado warning out, because there is a great chance of a tornado forming at that point because of all of the dew point, the humidity, the wind shear, and all the things that it takes to form a tornado are there. And now the rotation is formed up in the middle to upper atmosphere, and they will put out a tornado warning so people can get to their safe spots quick enough. So this way, if a tornado does form from it, that they know enough in advance to get to their safe spots so they're not caught outside or in a non-sturdy structure. So that's why they put out tornado warnings, but it doesn't always mean that a tornado has touched down.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things that to remember between the two is if you get your peanut butter, jelly, and your bread out, do you have a peanut butter sandwich or do you have stuff to make one? You have stuff to make one. Where a warning means you have it. The stuff is there. So a watch is you've got your stuff to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and a watch means you have the peanut butter and jelly. So all the stuff is there in the atmosphere to create a storm, and a warning means a storm has been created, and now it's time to put in act your safety plan, whether that's to get to the innermost part of the structure with no windows, into a basement, or whatever else you need to do. Very good question.
I've got I've got two questions.
Yes.
If there's like any like bad weather and it's like close to you, would you consider it in the vicinity?
That's more of an individual thing, I guess, Matt, wouldn't it be? I mean, because I call Brookville in the vicinity. I mean, it's like 3 miles down the road, but in reality, for the tornado, I was nowhere near in danger or anything like that. Tornadoes, they can vary on width, but now the thing is, it's not. You'll hear them say the Memorial Day tornado, I think, was like 1.75 miles wide, something like that. It was a very wide tornado. But the big part is that's just the finger touching. There's still a lot of winds around it, the rear flanking downdraft and stuff like that causes a lot of additional, not the 200-mile-an-hour winds or 150-mile-an-hour winds, but it's still damaging winds. It still might be 80, 90-mile-an-hour winds around that.
Well, and to follow up with that too, one thing that you can look up online is you can see the path of tornadoes. They don't have any rhyme or reason. They could be going east to west and then turn to the north or turn to the south. Or El Reno, the big El Reno tornado in 2013, it literally did almost a full circle around itself before it finally dissipated. So a lot of times when they say vicinity and a tornado might be to your north or your south, the reason that they give a vicinity and might add a few towns that might not be in the path of a quote unquote direct path of a tornado is because we don't know how a tornado is going to actually track. Where in one scan of a radar, your town could look like it's completely clear. And then the next scan of a radar, you have a tornado headed right for your downtown. So I think a lot of times that's why they use the word vicinity, to make sure that they're trying to keep as many people as they can safe at once.
Absolutely. The you want, and there is a poly box, and I can actually bring one up and show you right now. And this is what they do. And like Matt said, the area, they want you to be prepared in that area because it could shift. And I will bring up right now, to remember what I'm doing, a poly box. And this is the National Weather Service. And again, you can see where you guys are up here. Should be right there by that little Eric Walton right there. So you can see down here in Kentucky, you have a couple more. Oh, that's West Virginia. Severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, if we zoom in on just this one near Pulaski, we can see that it's got 1.34, so almost an inch and a half size hail. And right here is the main part of the storm they're worried about. But you can see how far out, because they don't know if this storm is going to come out and go to the northeast or maybe track a little bit to the southeast. But we could see what the lightning is doing, where the lightning way out here. That's why they say when thunder roars, go indoors. Because you can see, look, all the way out here, nowhere near the thunderstorm, lightning struck. Again, way down here. Look how far it is away from the storm that lightning bolt hit. What was the one that just happened not that long ago that broke the world record, Matt?
Oh,
I don't remember.
you wouldn't have to ask that.
It was like 400 and some miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hit down in the south. I think it was like in Texas and hit Mississippi or something crazy like that. But this is what they're looking at, and they can put this in motion, and we can see how it's tracking. So this one looks like it's coming down to the southeast a little bit. So we can put it forward, and we can also look and see all kinds of information on that specific storm right there. This here is your rain. This is your radar, sends beams out, it hits it, it comes back, and this is your base reflectivity. This is the same thing, but this is looking at direction of the raindrops, how fast they're moving and things like that. Over here in the bottom left corner, we're looking at winds moving either like left or right, or north to south or east to west, and we get your shear winds, and that's where we could see tornadoes. And here's another thing that we could see that could give us a hint of a tornado. Matt, would you like to explain each of those?
I'm sorry, what are we explaining?
If you want to talk about the different radar things, what we use them for and how we see things.
Yep. So basically, base reflectivity, obviously, the darker red, the worse the rain is. And if you see like lavender or purple, or if it gets severe enough, I do believe it goes black, correct, Al?
Dark gray.
Yeah, for the amount of hail that's associated with that. And that, if you watch your local news, I'm sure you've seen that a bunch in your lifetimes. But Al, if you go to Shopville, if you could zoom in, it's right to the north of your pointer there. Yeah. If you see these little kinks here, that's what we call an inflow notch. That's where the wind is blowing into the storm. And then that's where you can kind of tell if there's going to be any kind of tornado. Usually they form right along those inflow notches right there. So just to give you an idea of kind of when you're watching a radar, whether it be your TV or local news or whatever, to kind of give you an idea of where to look for tornadoes at.
There, and then, like right here too. Here's another good inflow knot.
Yep. And then we'll go to storm relative velocity. Storm relative velocity will show you greens and reds are usually what you look for severe weather. when they're touching, when they're really bright. So if you see where it says like -70 and 70, that's like the high end of that. But when you kind of see those reds and greens touching, that's an indication that there's rotation within a storm. So right now, if there's any rotation within the storm, which it doesn't appear to be, but it'd be very broad level rotation because the reds and greens are kind of that dull color, which means that there's not a lot of rotation within that thunderstorm at this time. But that's what we use storm relative velocity for. NROT, or normalized rotation, is another way that we can determine rotation within a storm. And that's what another way we can tell if there's, so yeah, right there near Gallup, you have some very, very broad level rotation right there. So where the greens and the blues are kind of close to each other. So that's another thing that we use to determine, well, if you look right there on storm relative velocity near Dunlow there is some broad level rotation right there. So not a great chance for a tornado, but there is some rotation within this thunderstorm. And then spectrum width, Al, why don't you go ahead and tell them about spectrum width?
Spectrum width it's looking at parcels of radar. It wants to know, is it coming to the radar, going away? Is it the same size? Things like that. It's looking at a lot of movement with the actual parcel of information. And that's why we could get, and let's see, it's hard. There's nothing really going on to get you. But what we would look for is something like this right here, which this right here is actually inside the rotation. And this is a way we can look at one storm in 3 different ways. If I go to right here, I can place a marker there. There's the little red dot. Right here's the little red dot right there, so we can see where it is there. Here it is right in the middle of the rotation. Again, now Matt said very broad rotation. And then right here's the red dot there showing disturbance around it. So like Matt said, this is probably like a wall cloud, a rotating wall cloud, just very high and not really ready to drop anything out. But it doesn't take much for this to shift gears and drop a tornado. Matt, I don't know if this will pull it up or not. Let me do it this way. Screen share. There we go. Now I'm going to try to show him how we look at a storm, or show them how we look at a storm in 3 dimensions. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the storm we're looking at. This is the base reflectivity. You can see how it is. And one of the things we look for is that lean. See how it's leaning over? So we know it's got shear wind pushing it. Okay, now this here is just the base reflectivity stuff. Now I'm going to look at the wind and see, you can see right here, we do have a little bit of shear and stuff, but we are looking at 10,000 foot in elevation, roughly 15,000 foot is where this activity is going on. That's the only thing I really see. So it's very minute. This is not really a tornadic storm. Let's make sure before I say that. There's other things we look at. Yeah, even they say it's just a hail threat and wind. But that's some of the ways we look at it and get information to know where, and normally I don't have lightning on because I can see better without it. But that's how we look in radar. We look at radar, and Matt does too. Matt uses a different program as well. Do you want to show him that one, Matt?
Sure thing. You have to give me permission to screen share.
I already have.
All right. So I like to use a product called Radar Omega, and it kind of shows a lot of the same stuff. But the one thing I like about Radar Omega, I dropped my computer mouse. So I'm trying to use the trackpad, and it's not being very nice. There we go. What I like to do is there is a thing on here, just like our meteorologists do on TV. And if we know how fast the storm is going, so we'll say 50 miles an hour, it will tell us every town from where the storm is at now until or
The
from
end.
the end of the little polygon box there. So that is another tool that we use for kind of forecasting where a storm may be going, and if it holds together, where it'll be at within, we usually go about 30 minutes because, I think the average lifespan of a tornado is something like 10 to 11 minutes. The average lifespan of a tornado is like 3 to 6 minutes. So, we don't usually try to go out too much further than that because usually your thunderstorms and your tornadoes actually don't have a very long lifespan. So that is another product we use. Just all things to kind of help us when we live stream and we're telling people where storms are at. It helps us to be able to kind of give people a heads up out in front of the storm.
Absolutely. You guys got any more questions? We're ready for them all.
No. I've got one more. So you
Very
know
good.
how tornadoes form with like usually a funnel cloud?
Mm-hmm.
The clouds surrounding it, are they usually nimbus and stratus?
Well, nimbus is the cumulus nimbus cloud is the thunderstorm, and that's where the tornadoes develop is from. Now you can get non-nimbus cumulus clouds, and they produce what's called cold air funnels. And I think I got a picture of one. And what they are a non-dangerous, and I'm going to be looking at my screen here talking. A non-dangerous tornado. They normally just appear very rope-like, come down a little bit, and then go back up. And all that is the heating of the atmosphere lifting your warm air mass lifting up, and it'll cause a little, just like when you move your hand through the water, it creates the little eddies behind it. I do not see that, but I have one, and this is kind of hard to see. All right. Give me just a second, guys. This is kind of a hard picture to see. This was actually taken off of my GoPro. I didn't realize it. We was watching this wall cloud right here, and we didn't see it till afterwards. Right here is a little bit of a funnel cloud that came down that we missed, and it went right back up. And I'm 20 miles from that cell. So we actually went down and headed it off and got some more pictures of rotating clouds from the storm. This was from a couple years ago. But you can see, if you remember me talking, how smooth the side is.
So before we go, I have a couple questions for you guys. So do you think that either one of you might in the future want to get into a career involved with weather at all?
Yeah, I want to be a TV meteorologist.
Okay. Well, I'm in the media field too, but I work in sports. But I can tell you, if you want to be a TV meteorologist, it's going to be a lot of science and math. And then you have to work on a lot of, even on your worst day, even when you're feeling bad, you're feeling sick, whatever the case may be. When you're on TV, when you're on radio, you still have to go up, to the studio. You have to smile and you have to act like you're having the best day of your life, even though on the inside you might feel like crud. So, but make sure you're hitting that science and math real hard because that is meteorology in a nutshell right there.
And technologies. Keep up on the computers. This world is going to computers. And as you could see, like I said, we just touched the surface of things we use. We use forecasting tools to forecast what's going to happen later. Not when we're looking at that, we're not just saying, hey, it says we're going to have rain in Walton, Kentucky. We look at the atmosphere. What's the dew point going to be? What's the temperature? Where's the winds coming from? What's the bulk shear? Which way is that going? And there's energy in the air. It's called CAPE, convective available potential energy. And we look at that because the more energy that's there, when the storm starts to form, it will help it. It's like adding gasoline to fire. It'll just help it go and get real big. The higher the energy levels are, the more powerful the storm may become. And we use a lot of that. So I agree 100% with Matt. Math, science, and technology. Keep up on the STEM work and start getting involved now. You can start getting involved now with your home computer, phones, tablets, stuff like that. You can look on YouTube on how to read radar. It's very simple. And once you sit there and slowly go through it, you'll realize, man, all I'm doing is looking at pictures. This is great. I know what these pictures mean now. One question I have for you guys is what storm is most memorable for you? Was it a flooding incident, a tornado, a hurricane, a blizzard?
I've got one. So when I was maybe like 1 or 2, maybe a couple months old, maybe one of those, I was in a hurricane. No, I was also in a hurricane also.
Hurricane Ike?
It was Hurricane Sandy.
Oh,
Hurricane.
Superstorm Sandy. Okay.
We lived in Virginia during Hurricane Sandy.
If-
No, wait, I lied. It's Irene. It wasn't
Irene.
Sandy. Sandy was maybe a nor'easter. Irene.
Both
Or
of them were hurricanes.
They were both hurricanes. He was in both of those then.
Does it count if you like at the beach and it's a water tornado?
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah, that's
A
called
water
a water
tornado?
spout.
Because we like got back to a beach like about a month ago, and we actually got to see it.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we were going on a walk on the beach, and we saw this. We saw this water spout, and we kept on walking, but by like 15 minutes, it went past the building, so we couldn't see it. Yeah.
Wow. So, and this is completely up to you, Mom, but you said you guys have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
You want to plug it?
What?
Yeah. You tell them what your YouTube channel is for people to come and like and subscribe.
Yeah, the Brilliant Brothers. The Brilliant Brothers, and its logo has a picture of me and Maddox on it. We have maybe like 26 subscribers about that.
You have more than us right now, so you're doing way better than us. What do you guys
Right.
vlog about?
What do we do? We
Yeah.
do like lots of shorts, random stuff. Sometimes we do gaming videos. Sometimes we do scooter tricks.
Skater tricks. You guys are skateboarders?
No, we ride our scooters. Yeah.
Oh, scooters. Gotcha.
We don't. Well, I do have a skateboard but I don't ride it usually.
Very cool.
I have been desperately trying to find it and can't find it right now. I'll have to look it up later. Remember me telling you I was part of the fire department?
Yeah. Yes.
I was deployed for EMS through FEMA to both Hurricane Ike, where I was stationed, in San Antonio, Texas, where we responded up into Houston, Galveston, where it made landfall, and what's that one that begins with a B right there? Beaumont, up in Beaumont, Texas, evacuating people, and we was responding 911 calls with the fire department for emergencies in the city. In Irene, I was dispatched with FEMA to go to New York. My son is a full-time firefighter paramedic for the city of Richmond, Indiana. And at that time, he got to deploy with me. We both went there, and we was stationed. Our tour where we worked was Brooklyn. We was both made FDNY firefighter EMTs. We had to fill out all the paperwork, show all of our credentials, and we became FDNY firefighters during Hurricane Irene. So I was actually there in Brooklyn, along Coney Island, all of that, doing evacuations and running 911 emergency calls with the New York Fire Department.
I was in Florida in 2005, and we left the night before Hurricane Wilma actually made landfall. And I remember, I'm not sure if it still holds, but I know at one point in time, Wilma was the most intense hurricane in the Atlantic basin. Well, once again, I don't know if that is still true to this day, but that's as close as I've been to a hurricane.
Yeah, it was extremely scary for the Hurricane Ike. We was actually in Beaumont, Texas, and that's right behind Galveston when it started making its way on shore. And we was, and I cannot say this strong enough, we was in fear of our life. We thought for sure something bad was going to happen. We couldn't get out of there quick.
If you guys don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. For myself and Al, the professional storm responders, we want all of you to go to subscribe on YouTube, not only to our channel, but the Brilliant Brothers, Jax and Maddox. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the good questions. And if you ever want to ask any questions, ever, feel free to hit us up. We'll be here and we'll answer them for you. Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you,
Guys,
sir.
it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, looking up some stuff for you and explaining stuff. I've had an absolute blast, and it was a pleasure interacting with you guys today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody, like Matt said, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and Matt, what else should they be doing?
Ring that little bell so you know when we post our videos, and so you can get all the notifications telling you that. And once again, make sure to subscribe to the Brilliant Brothers YouTube channel. I'm sure their quality or content is the highest of quality.
Absolutely. I'm going to be going looking for that as soon as we get done here. You guys, thanks for tuning in and watching us, and get over to Jax and Maddox's website or YouTube site. Give them a thumbs up. Let them know that send some weather love for them. Everybody have a wonderful day. Talk to you guys later.